All right, folks, welcome to the video. Today, I'm going to be ranking all of the vegetables. I've got all of the vegetables that I'm most exposed to in everyday life that come across my path, and vegetables that I just interact with on a day-to-day basis. And I'm going to give them a ranking. And that ranking is going to be from S tier being the best to D tier being the worst. I'm sorry if I missed something, or if there's like a vegetable that's quite prominent in your part of the world that I am not subjected to, that I don't know, or maybe I've just missed something obvious. Let me know. But let's see how this goes. Let's see if you agree. To kick things off, we have the humble Arugula slash rocket. This is a solid. This is going to be a solid A for me. I think it's a nice leaf for like sandwiches and salads and stuff like that. I'm tempted to give it a B just because sometimes it can be quite peppery and quite bitter. Like I feel like I've had bad rocket before, and like when you get bad rocket, it's like not a good time. So I'm tempted to give it a B. But on average, I think it has like a bit more character than your average leafy green. And it definitely has a place in particular salads and sandwiches. It's a solid A tier. Ooh, I should mention before I get further into this, I'm not going to be touching on beans and peas and legumes and lentils and that sort of stuff. I'm just going to keep it to the veggies that we know and love. Okay. And also, I'm being pretty rough and loose with the term vegetable. So if you come at me with like tomatoes not a vegetable or something, there's no time for that. There's no place for that here. We're just talking about vegetables, all right? Tomatoes, it was adopted by the vegetable family long ago. Everybody knows that. Okay, asparagus. Listen, I think asparagus is a solid B. Like, I feel like for me, asparagus, like, it has its moments. It can shine as a feature piece of a meal. But I also don't think it would be missed. I feel like if you replaced it with something like a broccoli very regularly, you probably end up in a place where you're like just as happy or whatever. So, I mean, for me and my sensibilities, like even though like some roast or fried asparagus can be pretty sweet, I'm pretty happy putting it in the B tier. Avocado. Oof. I mean, this is technically a fruit, but you know, it's a vegetable. You never put it in a fruit salad, right? But in a salad, we got time for that. Avocado is definitely an S tier vegetable, and I'm going to explain why. Not only is it good on its own right, and you can eat it with not much going on, it has like a very unique thing going on. Like, it's a very creamy thing. It's almost like it's like nature's spread in many contexts. So avocado is undeniably phenomenal. You can put some salt and pepper on it, and like, you know, maybe some paprika or whatever, and eat it like by itself, and you'll be pretty stoked. I used to do that as a kid. My mum would like hand me like half an avocado just like this, and I'd just eat it with a spoon. And it is welcome in any environment, like, you know, any sandwiches or like on like, you know, we're talking guacamole. The hero, it is guacamole more or less. The flavor and texture, it's just like, it couldn't be beaten. It's amazing. A solid S tier, a strong S, almost S plus. It's so powerful. Thank you, avocado. All right, we got green beans. Next. Listen, this might be controversial. I know people really love green beans. There's a place in people's hearts for green beans. But I think that they're kind of stringy and they're a little bit bitter. And I've never really gotten the appeal. I feel like many other greens do this sort of thing better. They don't really appeal to me. I don't really love the texture. It's got to be a C tier vegetable for me. Moving on. Beetroots or beets. I spent a lot of time in my life not liking beets at all. I thought that they were like, it was a bit weird. Like, it was very foreign. And I think I came across it in a burger when I wasn't expecting it. It also does some weird stuff to your body if you eat too much of them. That you'll your piss changes color is strange. Freaked me out once or twice. I like went to the doctor. I was like, am I okay? He's like, have you eaten beetroot lately? I'm like, okay, that'll be it. That said, I think it's quite unique. It's quite sweet. And in combination with other things, like it has a niche that it serves really well that other things don't seem to. Like it's quite tart and kind of like, for a vegetable, it is fruity, you know? And now I welcome it in my burgers. I don't necessarily seek it out, but I think the unique aspect of beetroot and its position, I feel like if it was removed, nothing could really fill its void very easily. I feel like what it does quite well. And for that reason, I'm going to give it a B tier. Beets are solid. Roast beets, damn, not bad, pretty good. Bok choy. Oh, this is going to be controversial. Listen, I love a leafy green, but when leafy green, like when vegetables or any food, by my taste, get too like watery for like, and often when they're watery, they're accompanied with like bitter. It doesn't do it for me. Bok choy. I mean, if it was just the leaves and not the bulbous part that you get, like typically when you order food as well, how it's used, you'll just have these big, honkin', bulbous, relatively unflavored, quite bitter chunks of bok choy, and I thoroughly dislike it. I actively dislike it. I don't think it's good. I think that this is going to be a D tier from me. I would never miss it. I could eat it. I could stop eating it, and I would never miss it, I think. It's going to be a D tier for bok choy. Broccoli. All right. I think that broccoli is the perfect nature's perfect flavor sponge. The top of it is perfectly designed to just like mop up flavors, which makes it an awesome dish to accompany like saucy meals and to go in foods that are saucy. I do like the flavor of it as well. It's like quite subtle. It's like a companion. It's a companion vegetable, and for that reason, I'm going to be dishing out an S tier for broccoli. If I'm looking for greens that are like, you know, that I'll always, whenever I'm having pasta, I'll chuck like some broccoli in with the pasta water. Fry it up. Very versatile. You can roast it. You can kind of do anything with it. It's a really versatile vegetable that can kind of adapt into any situation. I love broccoli. I think broccoli is totally solid. I'm going to give broccoli like a solid S tier. I mean, it's kind of tough because avocado is quite legendary, but for me, like broccoli, it feels like you're really dedicating yourself to like that health, like feel good lifestyle. Like if you eat a bowl of broccoli or something, or like it's a heavy meal, you really feel like you're doing something good for your body. Like you feel kind of like that powerful veggie feel, but and it's kind of quite filling as well. Like I think that it covers a different kind of base naturally to avocado, but I still think it's like kind of like the best green by my standards. So S tier for broccoli, definitely. Love you, broccoli. Sprouts. These are obviously like a controversial one. I feel like when we're growing up, we're like scared of sprouts for some reason. I'm not really sure why. Like to me nowadays, it's kind of like they're just like little cabbages or something. Are they explicitly little cabbages? They not only look and taste like it, they might just actually be it. But man, nowadays, like I feel like whenever you get I think that there's such a stigma about sprouts and Brussels sprouts that like when you order it now, you get it or you prepare it or whatever, like you kind of your expectations are always kind of like in a check. You're like that, you keep them low. You're being reasonable. You're like, you know, people always hang shit on Brussels sprouts. For that reason, I'm gonna give it a B tier because I'm always surprised and more often than not surprised and generally pleased when I get Brussels sprouts. I should have more Brussels sprouts in my life. I think that they're kind of like they're a little bit funky. They have like that funk, which is I guess maybe what scares off kids and stuff. But I kind of like that funk, and I feel like, you know, just cut in half, like fried with just some salt and pepper and like maybe just some basic flavors and stuff like that. It's like a solid companion to any like to most meals, you know. I'm gonna give broccoli a solid B tier. Now I've just got straight up cabbage. Broccoli, Brussels sprouts, big cousin. God, I think that cabbage is like really solid. I think it's really versatile. You can kind of fry it, and you can, like, you know, if you want to get into some sauerkraut stuff, like get into preserves and stuff like that, like, there's just some cool stuff that cabbage does that goes like, that other vegetables don't tend to do. And, you know, I think it's quite versatile. You can, you can fry it up, you can roast it up, you can preserve it. And it's kind of like a nice, like, basic crunch with like a little bit of funk. It feels like quite tough, but, like, you know, I think it's solid. I'm going to give it an A. I think that cabbage is great. Like, and I dig cabbage. I'm into cabbage. A tier. A tier for sure. Capsicum. Listen, like, capsicum has like a cool place in particular meals and stuff. I mean, it has like a cool flavor profile. But I don't love the fleshiness and the skin of it. I think that often it's quite hard to prepare, and if you're like stripping the skin by charring it or something like that, it feels like a lot of work for not very much like payoff. I've had, like, that said, like, I've had capsicum that's like really sick, like stuffed capsicum with like rice in it and stuff like that, and it's pretty phenomenal, and like cut up in like even in different like pasta sauces and stuff like that. I've done that before. It's like pretty solid. Listen, I think that capsicum, I don't love it. It kind of like the crunch is weird, and then you cook it and it goes away. I don't thrive on capsicum. I don't live that capsicum life. I feel like often the flavor profile can actually just be covered with something like a chili or something like that. Anyway, something less bulky. So by my standards, I think that capsicum's going to get a C tier today. Cauliflower. Listen, I spent a lot of time like saying that cauliflower is just bad broccoli, but over the times, I mean, there's some cool stuff that happens like with fried, like, you know, almost like fried chicken style fried buffalo cauliflower type thing, which is pretty sick, and roasting the hell out of cauliflower with like paprika and stuff like that is really solid. Like getting it kind of soft and really roasting and almost charring it to the point of char is quite nice. I think that it's far less versatile than like a broccoli. I don't want to see it in everything, but roast broccoli is so powerful on its own that it's like, oh God, is it an A or a B? You know what? I'm going to toss it up for cauliflower today and give it an A tier. All right, celery. I mean, I think lots of us grew up with celery, like peanut butter on celery, or just celery as a snack or something like that. I hate that so much. I think it's really bitter, and it's kind of like stringy, and it's crunchy in a way that I don't love. Like super watery, and that wateriness often has like a bitterness associated with it. And I really don't get down on it. I would give this a D tier if it wasn't like a core part of like, if its flavor profile didn't help out in dishes and like cocktails and stuff as well. Like you like a stick of celery in a Bloody Mary is phenomenal, or cut up in a bolognese for like the vegetal kind of flavor base is almost necessary. It's like, it's so good in that situation, but by itself, I really dislike it. So I'm like around the B or the C tier mark. I mean, you can make sauces and stuff without it. I think that I'm going to give it a C tier today. I hate celery. It blows, man. All right, here we got chard, or Swiss chard, or I think people call it silver beet sometimes. Is it silver beet? Maybe there's something else. Anyway, I really love how chard looks. It's just like a solid leafy green. It's kind of like on par with kale in that regard, but it has kind of this like, it's quite a beautiful vegetable. So if you're looking for something that's like quite impressive, or you're looking to like step up a salad, or I think you can even like roast this and get it like a little bit crispy, because it's quite a hearty leaf. Listen, I love this vegetable. I think that it looks great, tastes great, It is quite tough, so perhaps not very versatile. I don't think you would just like grab a piece of this and chuck it in a sandwich or something. I wouldn't. I would be grabbing my spinaches and my lettuces before I do that. But for its visual aesthetic alone, and to mix it up as like a nice alternative, I think I'll toss it up to a B. I don't think it's core. I don't think that it's like an everyday affair. But if it, like, No, fuck it. Go A. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, there's no reason why I couldn't. If you want more color in your life, you want to mix it up a little bit. There's no reason why you can't have this every day. I don't think you'd as a leafy green, I think you'd be stoked. Hell yeah, Swiss chard, nice. That's A tier. That'll be an A tier from me. Corn, oof. God, corn is like a very polarizing experience for me. I've had corn that is just like to die for, like a real treat, you know? Like corn can be fully sick, but I feel like corn in other situations is like a huge letdown. And just like if it's not cooked properly and you're eating it off the cob and it's not like seasoned correctly, then it just like ends up in your teeth and you're like sucking it out of your teeth, or you have to get a toothpick or something like that. It's like it's one of those drawbacks that really bothers me about a food. Like it's actually like it getting stuck in your teeth is not something that many vegetables do, but corn does. And that hurts its rating for me because I really love it. I think it can be really delicious in circumstances. I don't necessarily like it littered throughout my foods, like as like a support act, but I do like it as like the star of the show, like a corn on the cob, like with slathered with some flavors and especially at like Mexican style like restaurants and stuff like that. They kill corn like just obviously. I typically order that stuff when I'm go to get Mexican and whatever. So I'm torn about this one because it getting stuck in my teeth really bothers me. It dampens the experience, but also that's like, we can, with clever maneuvers at the dinner table, we can manage that, especially if there's like a toothpick involved. For that, I mean, I'm gonna have to give it a B. If it didn't get stuck in my teeth, I think I'd straight up give it like an A without thinking about it too much. But for me, it's going to be a B for corn today. Cucumber. Man. Cucumber sucks. This is a very controversial thing. I know that lots of people get a kick out of cucumber. They're looking for that fresh, crisp thing. I think there's like a trend that I'm growing intimately aware of with me, which is the waterier the food, often I don't want it to be watery, It doesn't do it for me. I feel like it totally interrupts a sandwich if there's like if there's cucumber in it. It rarely complements a sandwich. I think probably the best situation like cucumber is like the best situation I find cucumber in is like a Vietnamese vermicelli noodle salad or something like that. Pretty solid in that environment. Just for like some crunch. Maybe it'll even be like cut really like thin, so it's kind of like blends in with the noodles and adds some crunch there. I really dislike it almost in any other situation, especially like sometimes people will serve like just like circles of cucumber or whatever, like these little like no thank you. Almost never. I mean, sometimes cucumber in a drink, just to keep it that fresh. It has like a cool thing that happens in cocktails and stuff. If there's like some cucumber in it, that's solid. So it has redeeming factors. And I also recognize that other people do get a good kick out of cucumber. They love a good bit of cucumber. Absolutely not for me. C tier. But I'm bumping it up from a D tier because I recognize that I might be I might be alone on this one. Fennel. Fennel's not really like necessary in any situation. Like sometimes there are some cool dishes that can happen like that have it as the start of the show or whatever, but it's kind of like aniseedy or whatever. It doesn't really do it for me. I typically opt to not have it in certain situations because I just don't think that the flavor is too flash hot. There is a crunch there that I actually do enjoy. So the texture is pretty solid. I mean, I'm gonna give it at a C tier because I'm just finding that I'm really unenthused about it at the moment. Kale. So kale's like the big hearty leafy boy. If you look into like, you can like roast kale and get some like kale chips, so you can just like fry it up and it's like a good accessory. It's like one of those foods that's like really, it's like one of those nutritious foods, you feel like you're doing the right thing by eating it. It's like a rugged bush leaf. And you know what? I respect that. I respect this rugged bush leaf. I stand by this rugged bush leaf. I eat quite a lot of kale. It's a very regular occurrence in my diet. And I always enjoy it. I'm I'm going to toss it up for the prime hardy bush leaf vegetable. I think it's got to be an A tier. Solid. Leek. Yeah, listen, I don't find myself attracted to leek in any way. Like I've never seen a leek and been like, oh yeah, we should get more of those. They're like, the most classic thing that you see leek in is like soups and stuff like that. So it's one of those like vegetal based flavor kind of things that celery kind of handles. Often spring onion is just like, what is spring onion if not a thin leek? I don't know if that correlates at all, but it doesn't do it for me on its own. I don't think it has many redeeming factors, and its usage is quite it's quite narrow. It's not a versatile experience, and when it is utilized to its full potential, I don't think it's like phenomenal. So that's got to be like a C tier for me. Leek is weak. C tier. Lettuce. Oof. I mean, when you're like whipping up a sandwich or like making a salad or something, the go-to is lettuce. I think it's overused. I honestly think that lettuce is overused. I think that there are other great leafy greens that are in the package, and you can diversify your leafy greens quite easily. And I think people often just stick to like iceberg lettuce. They don't even play within the lettuce space, which is unfortunate because I think that there's lots of cool varieties of lettuce and stuff like that. But honestly, like I'd be insane not to give lettuce a solid S tier because it's just what you want. It's simple, it's there, it's reliable, it's fresh, it's crunchy. It's like add it to a sandwich and you've taken like something lazy that you've just slapped together. It as soon as you add lettuce, you care. And you care about creating like a balanced situation. You care about like freshening it up. You care about like, bulking it up a little bit in a healthy way. Lettuce is unbeatable at what it does. And I guess what drives it home for me is the strong variety and the fact that you can kind of pick and choose what lettuce you like, for what occasion. Parsnips. Yeah, listen, parsnips are like, straight up garbage. I've never really had a parsnip and been like, oh, sick, this is phenomenal, yeah, whip, yeah, parsnip. Never happened. Never once happened. I think I've had parsnip and been like, ooh, what is this? Like, when you get good parsnip, I think you're confused as to what it actually is because it's like so rarely good, I don't think that this does anything particular. I just think that they're like quite bland. They don't really have a flavor that much flavor at all, and what is there is not very appealing. Parsnip does not do it for me. This is a D tier for me. Potatoes. Listen, I mean, it's hard to even put potatoes on this ranking because they're too fucking powerful. They're honestly too good. It's kind of like how tomatoes are treated like a vegetable, but they're a fruit. Like potatoes are almost in another tier. They're like a carbohydrate mostly. Like they're in the tier of like bread and rice and stuff. Like if I was rating carbohydrates, like potato would be on that list. Which is to say, like, it is still a vegetable. You can make, add potatoes to like to salads. You can prepare them like, roast veggies with potatoes in the mix and stuff like that. You can fry them. They're so versatile. The potato is what dreams are made of. Everything that you want it to be, it can be. That starchy, fluffy deliciousness. It is easy top of the list. I don't think that that's even up for much discussion. I think that it's S plus tier. It is way too powerful. It's fucking P tier for potato. Potatoes are the GOAT. Easy. Unbeatable. Everybody knows it. They're way too powerful. It feels almost unfair to have them on this list. And now we get to sweet potato. See, that's tough because like sweet potato, they share a name, right? But like, and sweet potato is good. Don't get me wrong. I got time for sweet potato. But like, you don't want to be standing next to potato because, like, you just look bad by comparison, don't you? Like, you're always like, you're at the shop and you're like, oh, are we getting sweet potato, like the healthier version, or are we getting potato? And nobody ever wants sweet potato more, or very rarely at least. Listen, sweet potato is good. I think that it looks really bad next to potato, so but as far as vegetables are concerned, on this tier list, a sweet potato for me is an A tier vegetable. It's solid. It's really good. Really filling and really delicious. And when prepared the right way, it's just like, woof. You can kind of get like chewy, and like if you cook it, like if you roast it quite right, or even fry it up and stuff like that. Sweet potato fries and stuff rule. God, it's like, it's pressing up against a S tier, but it's not. It's a solid A tier. Sweet potato rules, but not as much as potato. And it knows it, you know? Like, when you eat sweet potato, it knows it doesn't taste as good as regular potato. Pumpkin. Once again, like, it's tough to be out here as a pumpkin, because often I see pumpkin, or what is likely pumpkin, and I'm like, fuck yeah, sweet potato, and I eat it, I'm like, it's pumpkin. Often I find that pumpkin does what sweet potato does, but less good. And this might be another controversial statement. Though, as far as I know, that there's not like a sweet potato soup. Pumpkin soup rules. It's very comforting and delicious. Could be if there was a soup tier list, which there may be at some stage. I think that pumpkin would be a strong contender. And actually, I think that that's just bumped pumpkin up for me. I think I was going to give it a B, but pumpkin soup, like, makes it an A. I think that pumpkin is more versatile than sweet potato in a lot of ways. But sweet potato has front. I think that they're within the same rank. They're both A tier, but I want pumpkin to know that sweet potato is better than it. I think that sweet potato is slightly easier to prepare, slightly easier to manage, often more delicious, but pumpkin has value and merit on its own right. A tier. Radishes. You know, nowadays it's very regular that we have radishes just in the fridge, you know. Like, radishes are kind of a sick way to just like freshen something up for like some quick, easy crunch. They kind of have like a peppery thing going on as well. They've got that pop of color that like that kind of just makes things look a little special as well. Like, if you get a variety of color in a meal, it really like your eyes see it and they're like, oh, yum. And then because your eyes are thinking yum, then your mouth is like yum, and together it's just yum. It's crunchy. It's pretty bland, but like if I'm looking for something, like if I'm looking for watery crunch, I will always opt for radish. Don't know what that says about me, but A tier, straight up. I think they look cool. I think they are cool. Radishes are a solid A tier. Snow peas. Listen, snow peas are like very similar to green beans for me. Like, they really don't do it for me. There's no reason that I ever reach for a snow pea with intention. I think that they're quite bitter and kind of stringy in a way that I don't enjoy. Obviously, they can be tolerable. I respect that people like them. No, I don't respect that people like them. No, okay, I do. I respect that people like them, but I just think that they're kind of ugly. I think they're kind of crap. They don't really work for me. Like, I'll have like a stir fry or something. That's where you're like most likely to find a snow pea. Never excited to see them, you know? I'm never excited or enthused to see a snow pea. Sorry, this is a C tier for me. Spinach. I love me some spinach. Popeye had it right. Popeye had it sorted. Dude was on point. Listen, I think that this would be an S tier for me, because I often, when I'm like pulling for a leafy green, I'll be reaching for spinach. But I think that baby spinach is phenomenal, but spinach that isn't baby spinach can kind of be like a bit hateful and stalky and a little bit like gnarly. That said, we do have like cheese and spinach pies and stuff like that. The strong suit about spinach. Ooh, I think that I've convinced myself. The strong thing about spinach is that of all the leafy greens, I think it cooks like and does a really interesting thing when it's wilted. It's like really delicious as like a soft wilted experience when like a lettuce doesn't really do that. You can actually in some recipes, but honestly, I think that this has to be an S tier, mainly because of its versatility. Like, pop it in a sandwich, boom, having a sick one with baby spinach in a sandwich, like a chicken sandwich with like pesto and baby spinach. And you know, cook it down, have it on the side. Like, you know, you need if you need like a splash of green on your plate, cooked baby spinach or like in a pastry or something like that. Phenomenal, really good, really good. I'm gonna say S tier for spinach. I really thoroughly enjoy spinach. Love you, spinach. Love you. Tomato. Listen, I got a lot of love for tomato. Tomato, when it's good enough, when you get these bad boys like you know, heirloom style, and they're like a little bit gnarled, they have like so much flavor. You can basically eat them on their own, like cherry tomatoes and stuff like that. Obviously, like comparable with potato in terms of its versatility, in terms of its flavors and the sauces and what you can actually do with it. You can slice it, put it in a sandwich, chop it up, put it in a salad, pummel it down, make sauces out of it, cook it to death, roast them. You can kind of do whatever the hell you want to tomatoes, and they are always sick if you do that correctly. This is like, you know, if potato wasn't included on this list because it was too powerful, I think the tomato would take the goat. It's just like a juicy experience. You know what? It is. They are watery though. To go against what I was saying earlier, to recognize a fault in my logic. But it's not about logic. It's about feeling. The wateriness is like, in tomato, is its own flavor. It's sort of like zingy and like almost, I don't know, almost like juicy. I mean, it's very juicy. It's definitely juicy. It's not almost juicy. It's just zingy and flavorful and all-encompassing and a real treat. I'm glad I have tomatoes in my life. This is an S tier, definitely, without a doubt. All right, next up we've got zucchini. You know, like lots of the stuff that zucchini does, I guess there's kind of like squashes that are kind of similar to zucchini as well. It's quite unique in its texture. I think we've all bought a zucchini attempting to buy a cucumber or vice versa. I think that's happened to the best of us. I think I respect that. I respect the cut of the jib to be the prankster vegetable, the unassuming. It's like the type of the kid in class that is pulling all the shit but never got caught. Very unassuming. And for that, I respect it. Listen, I don't think... No, actually, I think it's quite unique. I think without it, there's a void in my life. I feel like roast zucchini is quite good and often just a better eggplant by my taste. Overcooked, they can kind of turn into mush, which is kind of potentially good sometimes if you're feeling that way. It's going to be a B tier for zucchini for me. All right. Final, last, but not least. No, actually not last. And certainly not least. Carrots. You're never upset to see a carrot, are you? Like, probably the master of the vegetable that you just eat on your own. Like, completely untreated, just like washed up and just like bang, pop that carrot in, crunch on it. You're like pretty stoked with that. I think that that's a good vibe. Go Bugs Bunny style on the carrot. And that's a real benefit to the carrot. I think that it's the vegetable that requires the least amount of prep to be immediately good. And we love that. That plays in its favor. I do think that they like can be mistreated. I think once you get to like cooking a carrot, even if it's like not chopped up in the correct way, in salads, like sometimes you can have a salad and there's just like a big honking piece of carrot and it kind of obstructs the mouth experience that you're going for. So I do think that works against it slightly, that it can be like, with if not respected correctly, I think carrot can disrespect you back. And I do respect that, actually. I respect that if you don't respect it, it disrespects you. Because it's cool that a vegetable can do that. It's an A tier for me. I think that there's like a solid utility for carrots, like vegetable base in like bolognese sauces and stuff like that. I think that the carrot appears in a lot of things behind the scenes to like give a bit of oomph sweetness wise. But then can be like, roasted and like sweet caramelized carrots and stuff like that. It can be a real treat, just like, roast veggies and stuff like that with a big roast dinner or whatever. Totally solid. Probably the king of the root vegetables in general. Solid. A tier. A tier for a carrot. Thank you. Thank you, carrots. All right. And finally, last up, we have eggplants. Listen, I've had a love-hate relationship with eggplants. I think that they're a difficult beast to master. I'm recording a video, babe. Yeah, we're on eggplant. What's your rating for eggplant?
I'm guessing you put that below cauliflower.
It is below cauliflower. I haven't revealed that yet, but it will be.
It'll be above peas and beans. What is my review? I like eggplant.
You like eggplant?
I like all the vegetables. I'm an advocate for all of the vegetables.
That doesn't help me. We're here to rank them, babe.
I would give it a B+.
B+. Solid. Yeah, I think that the skin for me is quite thick. And I think that it's a hard to master vegetable. If mistreated, it's not yummy at all. And it does require a certain amount of expertise to pull off. If fried up or roasted correctly, it can be quite delicious. But it has a much larger barrier to entry than, say, like a zucchini or something like that. I think often zucchini just does what it does, but better. And the skin can be really tough and unpleasant. For that, I mean, it's kind of cool. It's a big honking purple guy. And for that, I give it like probably a bonus point. It's going to be a B tier for me.
Yeah, sex appeal high.
Sex appeal high. Nice. Yeah, one of the highest sex appeal vegetables for sure. Okay. I got one more. Listen, when I was a kid, my mum would be like, just eat 3 peas, literally 3 peas. And I'd be like, no, Mum, I hate them. I really, really hated them as a kid. They'd make me gag, and they were really unpleasant. I remember, one day I was like, oh no, I'm not that hungry. And I didn't finish my mashed potato. Like, I just like had snuck peas into my mashed potato because I really didn't want to eat them that much. I sacrificed mashed potato, which we all know and love, by hiding peas into it as like some sort of what's the big horse? What's the big horse that sneaks into past the Romans? You know, the horse. Anyway, I tried to disguise my peas in my mashed potato, and naturally my mum just went whap and then just like looked and found all the peas. And I not so slick. Nowadays I'm okay with them being in things. Like often they'll pop up in fried rice or something like that. Even like mixed veggies, just like frozen veggies and stuff. If we're having kind of like a lazy dinner, we'll just like fry up some frozen veggies with like with some like stock and just put some basic flavors on it with like have tuna and rice and like sort of peas and stuff like that. It's kind of it's never a highlight for me. I'm never super stoked to see them, but I recognize that they're super convenient, and I recognize that people like them. I don't despise them. B tier, I guess. It's like generous. I want to give it a C, but I've come around. I'm growing up. I'm doing my best. It's a B tier. All right, folks, I'm back because it's the following day from when I recorded the rest, but I had one last addition that was actually on the list but fell off somehow. Very important that we cover this one. Vegetable near and dear to my heart, the humble onion. Onions are phenomenal. The versatility is incredible. A little bit of crunch, a little bit of great flavor, excellent flavor. If any of the vegetables were praised for having sort of a supporting flavor, something that you can be added to things as like a base to create just like a complex, sweet, savory umami experience, I mean, it's the onion. You look to the onion. Cut some onion up, put it in basically anything as like fried in an oil or whatever, and then just like have it with literally any dish, and it's like phenomenal. For that, I think it would be reckless and disrespectful for me to give this vegetable anything less than an S tier. Onions rule. Their only downfall is that you can't just eat them as they are. And they do make you cry when you cut them up. That sucks. But despite those faults, it's very clear to me that they are S tier. It's an S tier vegetable. Nothing quite hits as hard as an onion in terms of its flavor and versatility in that regard. Like, you know, maybe roast onion as well is like it's super sick. They sort of like caramelize really well. There's so much that you can do. S tier, definitely. No doubt about it. There we have it, folks. If you like this video, if you like this stuff, that's nice. That's nice of you. Thanks for watching. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all having a lovely day. If you like my sultry tones, you can find them on a podcast called by the name of Swords and Monsters, a D&D podcast, which we play D&D and make terrible jokes. If you listen to it, I'm sorry. And otherwise, I might upload more videos in the future. Who knows? I might rank stuff. I'm thinking about ranking just things on my desk because I have an eclectic array of things on my desk right now. And I think it could be amusing for me, at least, to rank those things. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.